Hey guys, and welcome to today's first impressions video. Today we're looking at Nemezis, A Mysterious Journey. Now, to my understanding, this is just the prologue, so I don't know how much of the game there is actually available in this version that I've downloaded. I've played the first 15-20 minutes of it. It is a first-person RPG puzzle game, of which I am incredibly terrible at. So, straight off the bat then, if you're a bit of an idiot like myself, this probably isn't going to be the game for you because you will be looking up guides on how to fix it. However, as a game, it is very good. It is stunningly beautiful. It is very, very well put together. The voice acting is a little bit off, but I get the feeling that that's a design choice and has been done on purpose to really give you the feel of the situation you're in. So, whilst it seems a little off, it also seems perfectly placed. I really like this. I think this has the potential to be a really, really good game, especially if you can get really stuck into the thick of it. But we'll look at the settings and we'll get jumped straight in. So, settings wise, graphics are pretty much covered. Like, they're really, really good. I also quite like this. You've got your texture memory, which you can set to anywhere up to 4 gig on my card. I'm assuming if you get a card with more VRAM, you can up that as well. I'm using 2060 Super with 8 gig of RAM, and the fact that this has got using 4 gig for the textures, it really shows. It's really nice. Everything's on Ultra. It does have motion blur, which I also switched off. But what's nice is that this actually maxed out. Like, the optimization settings seem pretty good. A lot of games these days, you optimize it and it always goes a little bit less than what you should, or use optimization settings and as with other games I've tested previously, there is no optimization, so it really doesn't make a blind bit of difference. You're going to freeze and crash. I am happy to report that is not the case here. You've got your other settings here, which is your subtitles and your language. You can also inverse your axes if you really wanted to. And then your audio, you've got your master, music, ambient, mechanisms, and steps. Now, the mechanisms, from what I can make out, are quite important. So I'm glad that they've got that as a volume feature as well. So let's jump into the game and see what it's all about and see just how beautiful it really is when you play it. Alright, so here we are. This is the world. So you play basically one of two people. I don't know if you get to play the second person, but the idea is that you've teleported in and you've got to meet up with this second person. You're on a planet called Azraels, and from what I can make out, you are part of a company that teleports to planets and surveys them and sees if there's any like worth within them. You get given tasks from the guide, and the guide is not to be trusted. I've learned that so far. It's not to be trusted. You've got different people around the world. The one thing I will say is the dialect, although it's interesting, it would be nice if there was some choice to it. If you could choose what questions to ask the people that you get to speak to. And then you've got puzzles. So the puzzle I've got to do at the minute, which is the first puzzle of the game, and I'm already stuck, is I've got to basically turn on the elevator, and you do that by moving these things up, and you've got to link the line up, right? So when you swish it, basically getting the hole lined up, once you've done that, you will see a bar go across and you can go where you want to. Follow it up, and you do the same again. Now, the first ones are pretty easy because there's a very obvious hole in them, right? You've got a hole here. You've got to make sure that the holes are lined up in order to be able to let the beam go across and have power, essentially. However, it starts getting more difficult and the puzzles start compounding the further on you go, which is a nice progression, I must admit. Again, cannot get over just how pretty this game actually is. Like, the colours are quite toned down, like there's not a huge amount of color palette in it, but the dash of color that they add in really sets the tone, and the butterflies and stuff like that, it's stunningly pretty. A very, very pretty game that sets the atmosphere and the tone very, very well indeed. I am also pleased to report that it's very, very smooth. There was a bit of juttering during the intro cutscene, but again, I get the feeling that that was on purpose. I get the feeling that was a design choice to show you sort of like this world and the fact that something's not quite right, and that something is what you've got to find out. And then as you get to this third puzzle here, you can see that bit, and you can see that bit, but there's a third one in the middle. So basically you line the first two up and then you do the middle one until you line up. However, the last puzzle takes a rather large jump, if you like, in difficulty. There's a rather large difficulty spike. Now, the game does offer hints, which is nice, but the hints make literally no sense. To me, anyway. So those first ones weren't too hard to figure out, but this last one, I genuinely have no idea what I'm doing. You've got a plate here, and you've got a plate on the end, but then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've basically got six plates that you've got to move. And because it's this beam here, it's not a hole in the thing. So you genuinely, you got no idea. And you hit the hint, and the discs are divided into groups. Now, that's interesting because the hint it gave me before was look at the previous discs. Right? So they're into groups, which is obvious because they're one set of 3, and then oh, I know what I've got to do. I figured it. So to explain what I've got to do, they're done into groups, right? So I've got to match those ones with the first disc over that way. I've got to match those ones with the second discs over there, and I've got to match those ones with the discs over there. So this one I can do by memory. That. Oh. That. And then it was that. So the first one is done. I think, if I've done it in the right order. And then I've just got to go back and find those. So the hints aren't overly clear, which I like. Like, it doesn't hand feed you, but once it twigs, and then you can move on with the story, which is kind of cool. One criticism I do have with the game, though, is there's no run. There's no jog, there's no sprint. You can literally just walk. And I get that the idea of the game is that it's meant to be fairly chill. It's not meant to be too strenuous. But it would be nice if I could move quicker between points. Like, there's no jump. The space key, which would normally be a jump key, is skip. So you can skip dialogue with that. Or if you wanted to skip dialogue, you can also use your middle mouse wheel and scroll, and it will scroll fastly through them, which is kind of nice. So I've got 1 and the thing, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So 7 and 1. 7 and 1 is what we... And yes, my memory is that bad that I like, you could do it with a pen and paper, I suppose, if you wanted to try and memorize it, or you can just do what I'm doing, which is walking back and forth. So yeah, if you like puzzles, if you want something that gives you a bit of a challenge, this probably is going to be the game for you. That way. And then it was... And then we go back and find the last one. And then that should hopefully start us on the next bit. Now that will probably include spoilers, so I'm going to try and wrap this up before I do that. On the whole, so far, first impressions, this game is incredible. It looks really good. It's got certainly an interesting story to it. And I'm very curious as to what's going on. Like, it's already got me pretty hooked pretty quickly to it. I want to see what the big secret is. Like, there's an implied big secret, but it's up to you, the player, to try and figure it out. outside of the dialogue being a bit one-sided in that you are very much just observing the conversation, even though you are technically part of it, on the whole, the game is very, very good, and I am a big, big fan of this. I'm very interested to see what happens. I really, really want to... There you go. We did it!
You must rotate the elevator to enter it.
So now I've got to figure out how to rotate the elevator, which is the next thing. So each time you do a puzzle, a new one kind of arouses or shows itself, if you like. So yeah, if you like your puzzle games, guys, if you like a game that has a bit of mystery, that is very, very stunning to look at, that has a story that makes fair amount of sense, but yet at the same time doesn't make sense, and if you like things that are collectible, because you've got these things to walk around, which shows you some of the characters and shows you the hotel and stuff, which I think is really cool. I like the fact that there's collectibles as well. Then give Nemezis a mystery world a try. And I assure you, you will not be disappointed. Let me know in the comments down below if this is a game that you would play. Let me know if you are good at puzzles or if, like me, you're a bit of an idiot. Let me know if this is a game you'd play. And don't forget to leave a thumbs up as well if you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe. We are very, very close to 580, and it would be amazing if we could make it to 600 subscribers before the end of the month. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I really, really appreciate the views, and I hope to see you all next time. Thank you very much for watching. Ciao, ciao.